After a huge tech lash for data mining and theft, it's fair to assume that your privacy is never protected. If you believe online platforms are working to fulfill the data protection obligation, let us burst your bubble. In reality, big data has turned you into a living case study. Even your food consumption habits aren't safe. Sit tight as we tell you everything you need to know about the dangers of big data in farming. First up, are farmers the real enemies of your data? We can hardly blame the farmers for relying on data-driven stats to boost their agriculture business. In the times when even your local ice cream parlor is using data and user preferences to boost sales, you know businesses around the world have changed. Also, did we mention how catastrophic climate change is for the farmers? The truth is many farmers have little insight into how to deal with infertile lands and adverse weather conditions. Yet the show must go on. If the farming sector deviates from its agricultural patterns, a huge supply and demand crisis is looming over our heads. After COVID-19, if we had to fight another wave of food insecurity, then the world might look like a scene from some best-selling dystopian novel. And we're not ready for that. So what seems to be the issue here? To cut right to the chase, the real culprits of the big data and farming crisis controversy are agricultural firms. Can't say we're surprised. Here's the thing though, these corporations have more money than the entire African continent combined. In fact, in today's age, even governments are forced to bow down to big companies like Monsanto or John Deere. So let's talk about how exactly corporations come into our bigger picture. When we say corporations have money, they also have all of the best data scientists to hoard large structures of data. And if there's anything that we've learned from the crimes of Facebook and Twitter, it's the fact that data sells. These green corporations do a pretty good job of making big data a centerpiece of their acquiring strategies. So whenever they're humane enough to make partnerships with the farmers to protect food security, they do something any corporation will do. Not that it's very shocking, but as you know, many farmers rely on data mining strategies to make some focal decisions. Okay, before you start accusing these farmers of invading data structures, you can't really blame them. Precise, sophisticated, and accessible data helps the farmer to anticipate weather conditions, pest growth, project sales, and whatnot. And that's where the games begin. At the end of the day, agricultural firms are the ones processing everything farmers are growing into consumable products. Not to rain on your parade, but a farmer from far west Texas has nothing to do with how expensive your vegan coffee is. So, on the outlook, you'll see farmers growing the food that you love to Postmates or Uber Eats. Yet, if there's anyone responsible for your villain origin story after drinking that $20 oat milk latte, those are your big corps. Now, let's take a short break for an Econ Lesson 101. For decades, big corporations have been using this sinister principle called price discrimination. Yep, those big finance dudes really know how to put a serious dent in your bank account. The money-making game here is simple. With the aid of precise data analytics, corporations figure out which demographic is consuming what product readily, or if they're dependent on a particular product. After tampering with the data to ensure the farmers grow exactly what these companies need to make the most desired product, they also get to set the price point for everything. And we all know you aren't skipping that oat milk latte anytime soon. Next up, how do big corporations pry into your data? Ever wondered why your Gmail inbox is full of promotional offers from businesses that you haven't even heard of? Or maybe you get freaked out whenever an advertisement pops up for something you really need. As much as we'd like to turn this video into a BuzzFeed Unsolved, there are hardly any ghosts to hunt. But hey, the truth might upset you, but it shall also set you free. Artificial intelligence is as advanced as it could get in 2022. Corporations don't employ over 1,000 people to figure out what type of socks you need before bombarding you with some flashy advertisements. AI systems are extremely smart when they're mirroring and assessing your online behavior to tailor a social media experience just for you. So yep, whatever the data protections agreements you never bother to read is just a getaway for them to use your data for whatever they want. So when your screen time is as long as 8 hours per day, you're giving everything companies need for data harvesting. Simply put, data harvesting is when data scientists make your scrolling useful enough to predict your needs and wants. If your local deli has an avocado toast on their menu for $10, you know what's up. Changes like these don't happen overnight. Data sells. In fact, it is one of the most useful commodities in the world right now. Gone are the days when Gulf countries would take pride in their oil mines. Now they practically have no stake over a billion-dollar company like Meta. So, how do AI systems, data mining, and data aggregation pose a danger to the farming industry? Well, the answer lies in the same way a Mexican drug cartel would find a monopoly over the meth market. Okay, a slightly exaggerated exaggerated example, but the truth is much worse. Data is everything big corps need to maximize their profit, and even in such unpredictable times, they're quickly learning to adapt to the ever-changing climate. After conquering a big market share in green industries like genetically modified seeds, farmers can't operate without data. So this cycle of reliance is perhaps as bad as only depending on Facebook and WhatsApp for your daily communication. And when big corps have this sort of striking control over something as important as food consumption, we've no other option but add to cart, regardless of some pretty outrageous pricing. And oh, before you start to Google ethical agricultural companies, let us save you the trouble. U.S. antitrust or competition laws become huge question marks when you realize the green industry is basically saturated under a few monopolies. After a huge deal of merger and acquisition between Monsanto and Bayer, almost 50% of the farmers in North America are on their payroll. What is shocking is that after these two biggest agribusinesses became one, there were hardly any anti-competition investigations imposed on them. Let's move on to some other exciting news. Now let's talk about if we can maintain food security through big data. Okay, we'll sound like some boomer at a dining table if we get into the mess of computers ruining our lives. But we'll take one for the team and tell you this: maybe technological revolution isn't exactly solving the world's hunger. Well, not at the moment at least. This is not to say that data-driven techniques for farming aren't helpful while combating the worst fight of our lives against environmental damage. But we also can't look away from the fact that many developing regions don't have access to the luxury that big data is. Of course, the world would be a much better place if we had open access to data-driven farming predictions and practices. But hey, the world isn't a wish-granting factory, and corporations love to make money. They're not going to share their secret to success and price discrimination with anyone, let alone a developing country fighting climate change. If we gave them enough money, they might put us on their wait list. But so far, the data is heavily commercialized. It's true that the majority of the farmers still rely on their generational knowledge to maintain their agriculture business. Yet we also can't argue that the farming landscape hasn't changed owing to droughts, long periods of infertility, and water shortages. Coming up next, what has the UN said about big data and farming? It'll hardly come as a shock to you, but agencies like the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, believe in the goodness of big data. Well, no one is arguing against making scientifically sound decisions to feed the world. The only point of contention is to consider the ethical dimensions of how data harvesting is employed in the first place. The organization has also made its every publication open access for more statistical and data-driven collaboration. Other than providing some compelling news on food insecurity issues, FAO has taken a collective regional approach in their research. So, can the corporations choose a page from the UN's handbook? Finally, is it worth risking the future of farming in the hands of big data? Let's be honest, even the data scientists aren't concerned about where the data is coming from. In this age, many companies are only into analyzing whatever info data structures produce. Many big data enthusiasts even claim that unwarranted data harvesting is only a matter of when rather than if. As long as the data is creating a use value, no one should bat an eye on issues like invasion of privacy. Don't know about you guys, but that's a big yikes for us. The truth is, many green industries are also partnering up with data-driven organizations to align their practices with eco-friendly mechanisms. Even though we've called out Monsanto for pretty serious ethical concerns, it has also paid a company like Climate Corp to bail out some amazing green initiatives. And such ethically responsible solutions only come about due to the blessing and the curse that big data is. That's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.